In the arid heart of West Africa, Burkina Faso is emerging as the center of an extraordinary story. Once dismissed as one of the poorest and most overlooked countries in the world, the small, landlocked nation is now building what could become the most ambitious energy project in modern history, an $800 billion hydroelectric initiative. The plan, led by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, is reshaping perceptions of Africa's potential, defying decades of poverty, instability, and dependency on foreign aid. As concrete is poured, turbines are installed, and thousands of miles of power lines are laid, the project is transforming Burkina Faso from a forgotten nation into a beacon of innovation and self-reliance. For decades, Burkina Faso's people endured life without electricity. In the countryside, nightfall meant homes plunged into darkness, students unable to study, and hospitals forced to operate without the power to run life-saving machines. Even in cities like Ouagadougou and Bobo-Dioulasso, electricity was unreliable, with outages shutting down homes, schools, and businesses on a daily basis. Rural communities home to the majority of the population had no access at all. Families relied on candles, kerosene lamps, and firewood, expensive, dangerous, and harmful to both health and the environment. Children's education was cut short by nightfall, while patients in remote clinics sometimes lost their lives when power was unavailable for ventilators or surgical lights. Electricity was not just a convenience that was missing, it was a barrier to development, locking millions of people into cycles of poverty and limited opportunity. The new hydroelectric project promises to change that reality completely. At its heart is a network of 11 massive dams being constructed along the Mohoun River. These colossal structures, made of millions of tons of concrete and steel, are designed to withstand floods, droughts, and the region's harsh climate. Together, they form an integrated system that channels water flow to spin giant turbines, producing electricity that will feed into a smart grid. This grid will extend far beyond Burkina Faso's borders, delivering reliable power to 15 West African countries, from landlocked neighbors like Mali and Niger to coastal economies such as Senegal and Nigeria. For the first time, electricity will cease to be a privilege for a few and become a basic right for millions. The scale of the initiative is staggering. With a price tag of $800 billion, it is one of the largest infrastructure projects on Earth, rivaling some of the most ambitious developments in Asia or Europe. When Traoré unveiled the plan, skeptics around the globe dismissed it as a fantasy. Many pointed to Burkina Faso's modest economy, history of political instability, and reliance on foreign aid as evidence that such a colossal undertaking was beyond its grasp. Yet Traoré, a young and determined military leader who came to power in 2022, refused to see limits where others did. He argued that Burkina Faso's rivers, its untapped resources, and above all, the determination of its people could fuel something extraordinary. For him, electricity was not just about powering light bulbs, but about transforming education, healthcare, industry, and agriculture. It was, in his words, the key to unlocking West Africa's destiny. The smart grid that underpins the project is as ambitious as the dams themselves. Designed with artificial intelligence systems, the network will ensure that electricity flows where it is needed most in real time. If a Ghanaian city's factories demand more energy during the day, the grid will adjust to supply them. If a rural Togolese village needs lighting at night, power will flow there seamlessly. This flexibility will prevent blackouts, reduce waste, and guarantee steady supply even during peak demand. The grid also incorporates solar energy backups, ensuring resilience in case of technical failures. For millions of families who have known only darkness after sunset, this promises not just light, but opportunity. Construction has become a national effort, employing more than 1.5 million people so far, with numbers still growing. Rather than outsourcing to foreign firms, Traoré insisted on training local workers, giving Burkinabe men and women the chance to become engineers, technicians, welders, and machine operators. This approach has fostered a deep sense of pride, Young people who once sought jobs abroad are returning, eager to contribute to a project that could define their generation. A former street vendor now operates a crane on a dam site. A migrant worker has come home to help program the grid's AI systems. Across the country, stories like these are rewriting the future, showing that Burkina Faso talent can achieve world-class feats. Internationally, the project is attracting both admiration and unease. Partnerships with countries like Cuba, Iran, and Brazil signal a break from the long tradition of reliance on Western powers. These nations have sent engineers and experts to collaborate with Burkina Faso, offering technical support without the conditionalities that often accompany Western aid. This has sparked a geopolitical shift. China, Russia, and India have expressed keen interest in collaborating, offering investments and expertise. Europe, initially dismissive, is now scrambling to secure a stake, recognizing that the future of renewable energy in Africa might bypass them. Proposals are already being discussed for a $20 billion extension that could send Burkina Faso's clean energy northward under the Sahara Desert to power homes and industries in Europe. The economic effects are already being felt. Farmers, once at the mercy of droughts and unpredictable weather, are now using electricity-powered irrigation systems to cultivate crops year-round. Fields that once lay barren during the dry season are producing mangoes, tomatoes, and rice in abundance. These are not just feeding local families, but reaching international markets as far away as Dubai and Europe, turning Burkina Faso into an emerging agricultural exporter. Green technology companies have flocked to the dam regions, opening offices and bringing innovations in renewable energy, from solar panels to wind turbines. The area has been dubbed the Silicon Valley of African energy, a hub of talent and technology where local workers and global firms collaborate. The ripple effect is undeniable. More jobs, stronger local economies, and a new sense of possibility spreading across the region. The social impact is equally profound. In villages where children once studied by candlelight, classrooms are now equipped with electric lights, computers, and internet access. Rural hospitals can refrigerate medicines, power ventilators, and run modern diagnostic equipment. Small businesses that struggled to survive on unreliable generators now thrive on steady electricity. Markets buzz with digital transactions as traders use smartphones and apps without fear of losing power. Families are saving money once spent on fuel and using it to build homes, send children to school, and invest in their futures. For many, the arrival of electricity is not just a technical change, but a personal revolution, altering the very rhythm of daily life. The geopolitical message is clear. Africa no longer needs saviors. For centuries, the continent's resources were extracted by outsiders, leaving behind dependency and poverty. Traoré's project rejects that narrative. By building alliances with emerging economies and prioritizing local ownership, Burkina Faso is declaring independence on its own terms. Every watt of electricity generated is a statement of sovereignty, a declaration that Africa can chart its own path to progress. Already, neighboring countries such as Niger, Togo, and Sierra Leone are drafting their own energy plans, inspired by Burkina Faso's bold leap. The continent is witnessing the beginnings of a movement, one that could redefine Africa's place in the global order. The project is not without challenges. The costs are immense, the logistics complex, and the political risks high. Building dams on rugged terrain requires blasting through stone and constructing foundations capable of withstanding extremes of flood and drought. Coordinating a smart grid across 15 countries demands unprecedented levels of technical and diplomatic cooperation, yet the progress so far has silenced many critics. As the first dams rise and parts of the grid come online, villages are lighting up for the first time. Celebrations erupt as electricity reaches communities long forgotten. What once seemed like an impossible dream is becoming an undeniable reality. Observers note that the symbolism of the project is as powerful as the electricity itself. For a nation once known only for poverty and instability, the sight of giant dams along the Mohoun River represents hope, pride, and defiance. Traoré himself frames it not as a gift from government, but as a collective effort of the Burkinabe people. He reminds citizens that it is their labor, their rivers, and their determination fueling the transformation. In his speeches, he points to the rising dams as monuments not just of concrete, but of national willpower. Africa, he says, does not need permission to succeed. It only needs opportunity. If projections hold, the grid will be fully operational by 2030, revolutionizing life in West Africa. High-speed trains powered by the dams could link cities, reducing travel times dramatically. Urban centers built with clean energy could host new industries and green skyscrapers. Digital education could spread across schools, preparing a new generation of scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs. The project's legacy would be more than electricity. It would be a foundation for prosperity across the continent. For the first time in living memory, young Africans could look to the future with confidence rather than uncertainty. As the turbines spin and the cables stretch across borders, Burkina Faso's $800 billion hydroelectric project is forcing the world to reconsider what is possible. It is proving that even a small, landlocked nation with a history of struggle can dare to dream and make those dreams concrete. The impact is already rippling outward. Jobs created, economy strengthened, lights switched on in villages that once knew only darkness. The story of Burkina Faso is no longer one of poverty and dependence, but of resilience, innovation, and ambition. Africa's future, long dismissed as a question mark, is being rewritten in the glow of electric light, and this time it is Africans themselves holding the pen.